So we're talking about Among Us, right?
So yeah, get this started. Let's talk about
Right. All right. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Steve from the 8BG. I'm with my co-host.
Sterling. Major no fun.
We're the 8-bit generation, and you are listening to the 8BG cast.
What are we talking about today?
I think we should be talking about the most popular game right now.
This game came out of nowhere, just exploded onto the scene.
And it's kind of interesting because it was actually released almost 2 years ago. And
Yep, pretty much in 2018, November of 2018.
and now it's blowing up. It's Among Us. And it's on the PC, and I've actually played it on my cell phone. I didn't even realize it was on Android.
That's where it was originally released on the cell phones.
Oh, look at that.
And I think that might be part of why no one played it back when it
So it
came
was
out.
it wasn't even on Apple either, right?
No, I think it was on. I think it was Android and I think it was Android and iPhone. I think it came out.
Okay,
I don't know. Don't quote me, but I know it was definitely on phones first.
I thought that was a jab at Android, like because it's on Android.
No, no, no. Um, so, do you want to describe this game, or do we want to talk about the story of
um,
it, or what?
well, there's a story. I don't know if it's a
Not the
story,
story of
but
the game, but just like how did we get here? How
I
do we
mean, well,
get to
I'll tell you this.
dedicating?
I started playing the game because you actually recommended it to me.
Okay,
I have never heard of this game. You were telling me to download this game, and I
so
was the time you told me to play it. I was so busy, I didn't get a chance to play it, and I know you wanted to talk about it.
yeah.
So I was like, I wanted to download it on my PC, but it was just very busy for me. And then yesterday, I was like, you know what? Let me see. I don't know what made me think of looking it up on Android, on a Play Store,
Mm-hmm.
but I decided to do it, and I found it, and I was playing it, and I'm like, this game is really fun. It's like almost, it's like it's really a fun little game to play, and it's great to
So
play in bursts. So
yeah,
I love it.
so I've heard about this game knocking around for like the past few months actually, where friends were like,
Mhm.
"Hey, we should try to get people to play this," and it's kind of this party game and stuff like that. And I was kind of not really, I didn't really care too much for it. I just, heard I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll try it one day," you know. And then I started watching YouTube streamers play it, and then I said, "Hey, this reminds me of another game I seen called Trouble in Terrorist Town, where." Basically, the goal of the game. Let me just describe Among Us in general. So the goal of the game
Mhm.
is if you're random, you're playing with a group of friends up to four to 10 people in a game. So it's multiplayer. You only can play with real people. So your goal is to, if you're the crewmate, uh, you're supposed to survive until the end. Like you finish all your job task, and then you win the game. Um, or if you're the imposter, which the game randomly selects one or two people, depending on how many people you play with, to be the imposters, and the imposters go around killing the people on the ship. And so there's a lot of
And then
rules with that. But the trick about it is that no one knows who is who, and so it creates this kind of paranoia every game you play, because you want to finish, you want to win, whichever
mhm.
side you're on. So there's so
Well, don't
part.
forget there's also the element of where you have to do a vote in
Well, yeah, no,
where.
I'm getting to that.
Okay, go ahead.
So
Mhm.
the what makes the game interesting is it's not just a game where you get to the end, you're just trying to do this before you get killed. It's part of it is discovering who the imposter is, and it's the systems, the way the game works, allows it to be really fun. And so basically, how it works is the imposter can do certain things to help him with his tasks, such as he can hide in vents, he can do all these things, these suspicious things, uh, to help him finish his goal. He can, but most of the time, he can blend in and kind of fake like he's doing tasks like everybody else. However, when he kills somebody, he has a kill cooldown, which will take maybe 20, depending on rules, 25, 30 seconds before he can kill someone else again. If a crew member spots the body, they can report it to the rest of the crew. Now, the creative thing about the game is during the gameplay, you're supposed to be quiet. You don't talk, like even if you're walking amongst people, you don't really talk. So this is just you're quiet. You just do your task, get it done, finish the game. When you find a body, the game goes into discussion mode, and discussion mode basically is where everybody can come out and talk or type in the chat. But I highly recommend you find people to play with that you can talk to, because the chat to me doesn't kind of work the same way. It doesn't feel as good when everybody's, there's a lot of personality that's lost. And the fun of the game comes during these talk sessions, because amongst all, among all you people talking, somebody is lying, because but you don't have any clue. So it makes you have to figure out, who did you see where, who was close to the body. Did someone not report it? Did someone walk out of the room where the body was? So it's a lot to pay attention to. But at the same time, it's so simple that it's almost genius the way it, in this design. And so what do you think? Like, what's your take on it?
So with my take, I played very briefly. I know you played a little bit longer, so I'll probably have
And I'll
questions
explain.
to
Yeah,
ask you.
I'll explain my
But
game sessions.
it was really fun. Most of the game sessions I played, I was never the imposter.
Okay.
I found that when I choose 3 imposters, usually my chances of becoming an imposter increased. So there's probably 1 or 2 games where I played the imposter, which was pretty fun. You can just like while they're trying to do their tasks, go into the room, hack and slash them, or do whatever the button
Question.
allows you to at the time. So yeah, go ahead.
Question. So when you played, did you play with friends or did you play with randoms?
So I would play with randoms because,
Okay.
like I said, I
And
don't
you
really
didn't
know.
talk. Like you had to type in
There's no talking. It was only typing.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
the typing was good, but the only thing that sucks about it is that if you're not, because here's the thing, as you said, it's
You
a
have to be
whole mind game.
fast,
Like
right?
yeah, you have to be fast. So as soon as the vote discussion comes up, usually someone can say, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" And usually I find that I found in some sessions that some people will accuse other colors of being the imposter.
Just cause.
Usually the imposter, kind of trick everybody else. So
And
like,
everybody
let's say
will
I was
jump on
red.
it, kind of.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
let's say, for example, let's say I was red and I'm, trying to type in something, and then there's another color like green, and it says, I think red did it. As soon as he says that, a lot of players will
We'll
start
just go to
thinking
red.
that,
Yeah.
and those go to red. So they'll vote me out of the game. And sometimes if you're not fast enough with the typing, you can't say your piece, or you can't say,
And
"Hey, I
even
saw
if
this, I saw that."
and I feel like even if you do, it's like once it's
Mhm.
planted in people's heads, they
Yeah, that's
won't
it.
even they'll just say, okay, they'll just I've had that happen. I've played like that way, and I've played like what I'll say is the real way to play.
Mhm.
Um where
So wait,
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
with the voice, how different is it? Because I know you say you play with
Okay.
friends. So is it just you and your friends, or do you also invite other people
You
along? Like,
could do your friends and then some public people, but been fortunate enough to play with groups of up to 10 people that
mhm.
like I kind of knew, or some I knew, but some I might have been someone else's friend that wanted to play or something like that. So I've had the fortune of playing really large games, and it's it's a different experience when you play with people and everybody's talking, because part of it is where it becomes the funniest game you've ever played. At the
Mhm.
same, because sometimes the way people act, or how obvious people, the mistakes people make, are hilarious. But also, I want to say that this game is also it's very nerve wracking, in a way, because, and I'll tell you right now, I actually don't enjoy being the imposter,
Why is that?
because because my name when I play is I'm a bad liar. That's my name. And one of the things is you have to, as the imposter, you have to really be on your toes about who sees you where and what kind of game you're going to play. Because, and if you have a partner, you have to kind of know how to work together, because you can't, if you kill someone near your partner, it's really bad, because the two of you are near this body, so somebody's more likely to see one of you guys walking somewhere. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
But the idea is that when, as the imposter, when it comes to the talking round, when someone claims, and I've seen people get really kind of upset playing this game because sometimes you get blamed for things you're not even the bad guy, and people will put blame on you, and so
Hmm.
sometimes that can trigger people. Like in a, so you kind of have to have a. I'm not gonna lie, you have to have a mental fortitude to somewhat play this game, unlike any other game I've ever
Look,
seen. Um, because
funny, when I find people play as the imposter, a lot of times I always the clues that I look for normally are suspicion. Like if they're in a room and there's a task that has to be done
yeah,
and they're not doing it, I'm
there,
like, okay, that's kind of like
there's ways to
weird.
they either they'll stand at something too long or they'll stand at something short.
Hmm.
But the difference is when you start talking to people and they'll explain themselves. And I can't
Hmm.
tell you how many times, and you really have to be suspicious of everyone, even though like 8 out of 10 of you are good, but everybody is not trusting everybody, and it's a little like, so when you're the bad guy, and they
Hmm.
ask you, well, what have you been doing? Because it's different. It's different in a text chat where you kind of have time to think about it. But when
Actually, you really don't have a lot of time because a lot
no,
of
but
times
but you
everything's like,
but you're still typing out an answer. Where if someone asks you what are you doing and you think about it, you're automatically suspect. If you don't respond right away, because like you could like someone can type where have you been and you'll be like I was in okay and I'll type it out or whatever. But you have to instantly know, because they'll be like you were up top where and what were you doing there. It's you get interrogated.
mhm,
You can't really interrogate someone over a keyboard that fast. Where you have to keep thinking of something to say,
mhm.
and or turn the interrogation to somebody else to make them look. So, and some people, the thing about it is you'll play with some people that are really good at it, are really
Like
good.
what are some skills that you've seen that would indicate someone's really good at playing the game?
Um, Sometimes some people are very good at pitting other people against each other. So I'll give an example from a game. And I have a video clip, which I'm gonna, I'm gonna upload eventually. I have a video clip of this game where uh, the guy was by himself. Now he had to take out maybe 6 people, which is hard to do
Mhm,
because the other imposter got caught really early. Um, this person sat by, but he didn't really put a lot of suspect on people. But he was able to use the suspicion of 2 people against each other to hype them up, and they were saying it's got to be this person, it's got to be this person, and the other person was like, no, no, it's this person. So me as a 4 person around here, I'm like, well, it's either him or it's her. They're both blaming each other like crazy, and I'm not
mhm.
even considering this other guy here, who's in my same shoes. Right? I'm thinking he's like me. Like we just gotta vote. And in my head, I'm like, we just get both of them out of here. We'll win by default because it's one of them. The way they were blaming each other so hard. So he's like, yeah, yeah. So I think it's whatever we went. So we all pointed at one person. We voted her off. And the way we play also is that with 2 people with 2 imposters, we play it
Mhm.
where when you eject somebody, it doesn't tell you if they were an imposter or not. So
Oh.
once we ejected this person and the game didn't end, we were like, okay, so it must be him. And the other person's telling me like, it's not me. I swear, it has to be either this person. So I said, nah, nah. I said she saw you and the game didn't end, so it had to be you. You're just trying to play it up. And we voted him off, and the game didn't end. So I was like, oh shit. So it's not. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mhm.
feel like you can't really. I feel like until you play with, it's really fun with people but at the end of the day, you just got to play with people you can talk to because it
Mhm.
really takes on a whole different life. And I'll give you another funny example of how the game can be really fun, but sometimes it can play memory tricks on you a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, I was walking around. Oh no, matter of fact, it's the clip I put on the on our 8-bit generation. I,
Facebook.
I put a
Mhm.
clip there.
On
I
the
don't know if you
Facebook page.
watched it.
Yeah, I did see it.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So basically, in that argument, right, I said, so I was like, so I reported this body, and I said, I think I saw who did it, but I can't remember what they look like. And they said, well, did you see anything? What color? And I said, I want to say red, but then I realized I was like, but I'm red, and it made everybody laugh, like because it was, and that's the kind of moments I feel like you won't get unless you're talking. But that's how a lot of the conversations can go. So, for
Mhm.
instance, like Another situation is I was running into the room to do a task with two other people, and the one person killed right in front of me. And so I report the body, and immediately I go, "It's Lori, it's Lori, it's Lori, it's Lori, it's Lori, it's Lori, 100% it's Lori, it's Lori." And then she goes, uh, no, it's not. And then everybody was like, "Oh no, what were you doing?" And she couldn't explain herself, because I think there's like a smart person, at least, or someone, because she made a mistake. She didn't mean to kill a person right in front of me, but a smart person would have instantly said, "It's Sterling, it's Sterling, it's Sterling." You know what I'm saying? There's
Hmm.
tricks like that. Because if she said that before me, it would have been a lot harder for me to battle it out. But she was so caught off guard by doing it, and she had no defense. But I feel like some people are very good. Just it's not even like tactics and stuff. They just know how to.
But it's just like social, like knowing how to
Yeah.
like
So for
match people.
instance,
Like,
you know, our good friend Bandito
hmm,
is good. He's very good when he's an imposter. He's because he can dominate conversations, and he
hmm,
can turn blame on anyone pretty easily. It's hard to kind of get him to, but at the same time, even the thing is, he plays the game very similar anyway, whether he's an imposter or not. So it's really hard to tell if he is an imposter. Um, and so he wins a lot of games because he's just very good. But you might get more laughs out of someone. Like sometimes you have people that are wild cards. I'm
hmm.
almost so bad at the game that I'm pretty wild card because it's so easy to get me to agree with somebody. Like I will agree with usually the first thing I hear or my first suspicion. I'll just ride off into the sunset and I don't care. I've won a couple of games as imposter, which is very fun. But to me, like I said before,
Hmm.
I think the imposter, some people are like just very good spirited people. I'm not saying that's me,
Hmm.
but they find it really hard to lie consistently because sometimes, like, if you're caught under suspicion, really you're just they a lot of times they can't prove it's you, but they're just very suspect of you. So if they ask you a question, if you're a good liar, you're not going to really think twice. You'll answer fast. You kind of know the story already in your head. But for me, I'm not necessarily thinking on that level all the time. So it really it's just an amazing it's an amazing experience of a
Hmm.
game. It's just I've never played. It's really a party game. And, you can play it in a group of people in front of you, or you can, it's just this experience to me. It's not new. There's been games like this, but
But that's why I love it because at the end of the day, it's very simple and it doesn't require a lot of thinking. Just like, hey, just do these tasks. And the tasks, what I like about the tasks is that
are very
they're
simple.
very easy to do. They're just like, match this, broken wire with the
Flip,
same color,
flip this
move
card,
this,
slide
flip this
this here.
card,
Yeah,
make sure all the stuff's empty. Like it's very simple stuff to do. And or download something, just watch the bar,
yeah.
until
Or come back
100%.
later. There's a lot of things. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like that's kind of very simple to do, but of course that's not the main. That's not where the fun comes in. A lot of times it's the suspense because when you're doing these tasks, the
Every
killer could be like to
anyone,
see you doing it at
anyone,
any moment could
anyone
just kill
walking
you.
by you at any point
Hmm.
could be a killer. And there's
Exactly.
very few ways. There are ways to tell when people are not. But for the most part, you can't really tell. So you could be suspicious of everybody, especially when there's
Hmm.
two killers. I think the game is really best played with two killers, with eight, nine. I'd say 9 to 10 people with two
Hmm.
killers. I think that's when the game reaches its best. It's more fun for the killers because they don't have to do so much by themselves,
Hmm.
and it's also more fun for the crew because it's two and there's a lot more detective work to kind of do. There's also these little things that as a killer you can sabotage the ship, so you can turn the lights out, which makes it really hard for people to see where you're going. You can turn off the oxygen, and these are things that the crew has to take care of. If they don't take care of it by the time runs out, then the imposters automatically win. Um, so there's a couple of things like that. There's only there's 3 maps at the current
Yeah, only
moment.
three maps. Hmm.
Some are large and maybe a little confusing. But you get used to them as you play them. I like the smaller maps anyway, even with more players. Um, but it's really it's an experience that you could only do to me with video games, and especially the way it is now. I think it's really
Mhm.
good, especially with Discord, and so it's easy to kind of get a group of people to play. It's a lot easier than you would think, because a lot of people want to experience this game like they see the streamers, which is like 10 people, everybody talking,
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I think
So let me ask you. Well, go ahead.
I was going to talk about the more interesting fact of this game just coming out of nowhere. Um,
Well, I mean,
but go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, from what I know, it came. One of the a popular streamer was. I don't know. I'm not into
Right.
streaming. Like that. But I did hear that a popular streamer was playing it, and then from there it just took off.
Yeah. It.
I Soda something. Are you familiar with?
Nah. I'm not. I know the game was made by Inner Sloth, this
Hmm.
company, which is three people. I think three people made this game. One
Hmm.
person programmed, one person did the art, and one person did like the production kind of. And they released it. It was kind of whatever, and then they just have the one guy he just maintained it for 2 years, and then all of a sudden when the streamer uh, played it, and then people saw how fun it was, the game just exploded to the point where he couldn't even manage it, and he had, he had to get more servers running. He had to do all this coding, but he said, it's kind of it's like a blessing. It's
Hmm.
kind of a good story where you don't, especially with these indie games, right? Usually it
Hmm.
doesn't happen this way. Usually an indie game comes out and people are kind of on it right
All
away,
over it.
right? They're kind of
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
but this is the kind of the rare case. It's not extremely rare, but it doesn't happen that often where a game
Well,
is out.
they didn't happen to another game too. Like, for example, what was that other game that was really popular? It's like Fall Guys. Wasn't Fall
But
Guys in the same similar
no,
situation?
see, Fall Guys came out and was just a hit. Like Fall
Was it?
Guys,
It was. Wasn't it part of the PS? What's it called? The PS4 free games.
yeah, but that's when it came out. Like it literally came out right around that time. I know it's
So wait,
it's
it came out around the same time. Or was
yeah.
it was
It
so it
was it
wasn't one
went
of the
from
free games.
beta. It was in
Hmm.
beta and it came out. And I trust me because I bought it. I bought it
Hmm.
pretty much close to release, and I bought it like
Okay.
maybe like a month ago or whatever.
Hmm.
It's still kind of this indie game in that retrospect, and it's kind of a weird game that peaked in popularity, but it didn't. This game is like it was out for 2 years, and it just shows how you could create a masterpiece and no one ever played it. Like how many other games you think are out there that might be this fun that you just don't know,
I'm
and
sure there's a lot of games like that.
I'm
Just
sure,
they just don't
right?
have to market. Because I think one of the people from who created the game, they said that their team is they're just bad at marketing. And it's true. Sometimes
Or
marketing goes
it
a
could be
long way.
marketing, but it also like that kind of game is a hard game well, okay, here's another thing about the game. It wasn't until they made a PC version recently. That's what it is.
Hmm.
And the PC version which had internet play, cuz really before it was supposed to be 8 friends get this game on their phones and play next to each other. That's how it originally
Hmm.
was. But it didn't have internet play like it does now. So that's part of it. They just did a simple update that really made it explode. And it just didn't seem like something at the time or whatever that people just wanted to play. And the funny thing is it's
Hmm.
free. Like I don't know how long it was free,
Yeah.
but it's definitely free on phones now. It's kind of crazy. But like I just feel like a game like that doesn't. I don't think advertising could have necessarily made it what it is today. I think it was literally it's the like what they call a perfect storm. I think it had to do like literally had to be
Hmm.
just it had to simmer a bit. Had to reach this point where a lot of people like to stream kind of weirder games, and then it just blew up with the YouTube videos and all that. And I think that's what made it. And you know
So.
what? I think it's a flash in the pan. Not a flash in the
Mhm.
pan. I don't say it like that, but this popularity of it's gonna fade eventually. I don't.
Yeah, but let's look at this in a grander scale because I feel like there's like these free to play games. I think we can kind of agree that these free to play games are kind of like the future of gaming in terms of um
Mm,
you know
I mean,
well here's the thing, like for example Fortnite, we talked about this before. Fortnite, the king of it,
a freemium
free
game,
game, freemium game,
but
but the money comes from the costumes and outfits and whatever. um
but
and Fall Guys is kind of like in the same. Well, Fall Guys
Fall
has
Guys
a
isn't
system that's
free.
similar. It's free,
Fall
but
Guys
also
is
you
not
can
free.
purchase.
Fall Guys is not
Oh,
free.
sorry, it's not free.
No, it's
Sorry,
$20
Fall
on
Guys is
PC.
$20. Excuse me. You know what? They should make it free though,
Well, this is the thing. That's some where some issues are with that game because
because that's how it blew up. Because I guess people, because I don't know, when did the Fall
mm,
Guys come out?
Fall Guys blew up because when it was launched in beta, people really enjoyed the hell out of it. That was
Hmm.
it was a game that kind of didn't have any whatever, but the beta was streamed a lot, and people said this game looks like it's so simple and it's fun. I don't. It was big before it even hit PS4 for free. It was going to be big. That game just the same similar it's similar in a way the studio never expected it to just blow up like it did, but it did. It just
Hmm.
for whatever people like battle royales nowadays, and that's somewhat of a battle royale game that has this cute style and costumes. But when you talk about freemium games, the difference is that this game, I don't know if the original release of it was free. Um, because sometimes when games like this become too, they go on for a long time. They might have.
It's more
We
free.
have to look that up. But I know on PC it's not free at all. You have to pay for it on
Hmm.
PC.
Yeah, it's $20. Yeah, you're right. Hmm.
Um, I mean, well, I'm talking about Among Us though. Among Us
Oh my gosh, it was twenty
it's
dollars.
five. No, it's $5. It's cheap. It's cheap. It's
Hmm.
to me it's at a price where this is probably what you would have had to pay when it first came out on phones. It was like $2.99 or $3.99. It wasn't expensive, but I look when you talk about the freemium games.
Hmm.
Not to get off topic, but I feel like I don't think that's the future, but I think there's definitely a spot for that kind of game now, more so than there was before. I think it's very hard for those games to be successful because there's so much competitions in the freemium space, especially when you have a juggernaut like Fortnite or something. But I think
Well,
there is.
if you're thinking about just like let's say just in Among Us, how do you think they'll be able to parlay this into sales? Because they do offer costumes and things that you can purchase,
Well,
but do you think that would be enough in this
I
game,
don't think
or do
they
you
need
think?
to anymore because they said, from what I read the story, um, the company is now being sort like looked at by all these gigantic publishers. So they don't like they he said the guy said like he's gonna support the game and try to integrate new features. But I think it's so popular now, especially think about all the revenue they probably get from the ads now that
That's
people
yeah.
are playing on the
Mhm.
phone. I don't think they need to. And he said like there's so many companies like he said when we first made this game, one company maybe looked at us to try to publish but didn't go through. He said there's so many now that they could go anywhere they want and do. They can make like their next game if he wanted to right now. So I
Among
like
Us Switch.
and I'm sure now he's making a killing off of these $2 costumes and these $1 like because so
Hmm.
many. I mean, this game is capturing 100,000 players on Twitch, and there's everybody. All the Discord channels I'm in have Among Us.
Hmm.
Does anybody want to play Among Us? Does anybody Among Us? Among Us. It's everywhere. So I don't think he even has to really monetize it. It's there. He has a
I was
hit. They have a hit.
in the when I downloaded it from the Google Play Store, I saw that it already had like 2 million
Yeah,
downloads. And I don't know if that was just
I
recently,
bet you
but
like a
that's
year
amazing.
ago or 6 months
Hmm.
ago that wasn't the case. So it's just kind of
Hmm.
amazing. But the game, back to just the game itself. The game's amazing. I think it does. It's a great, almost like new genre of a kind of competitive game, because there's a skill level to it where I've watched streamers play it that are very good at being a detective, which I didn't realize you could look at not even just game mechanics, but just the thought process of how the
Hmm.
game is played, and how long it should take a task. Also, these guys are really fast at doing their tasks because if you finish all the tasks first, obviously you win. Um, but also how to get people to believe you or not believe you, or one of the cool things about two imposters is sometimes you're running around with the imposter as a good guy, and you're like, oh, this guy's safe because there's two bodies over here and he was with me the whole time. And then so you're in your head, you're like, this guy's not bad. And then, 5 minutes later, and he knows you trust him, he's gonna kill you. Because
You
it's
know what's the worst is when someone just calls for an emergency meeting and then it's like you don't know. It's
well
like all right.
that's part of the fun too, right? Someone will
Mhm.
call an emergency meeting, either nothing has happened. Well, see, this is funny too on like voice chat. Sometimes they'll just call it just to suspect someone.
Mm.
Or sometimes some people look at because you can find other ways other than finding bodies to see a dead person. Like you can check like there's heart rate.
Security cameras.
Yeah, there's security. There's also like a thing that checks everybody's pulse, and if their pulse is
Mm.
offline, it'll just show them that they're dead, and then you can call a meeting. But if you do that, a lot of times it's like, well, we don't even
That's
know where he
suspect.
was killed, or
Mm.
so we have nothing. And sometimes, usually emergency meetings though, that's another aspect I didn't even talk about. How but I think some of it's just you play it and you'll see it yourself. But it's a game that also I think is highly recommendable for everybody to at least try.
Mm.
Even like your girlfriend or something. Like I think everybody can play this kind of game, which I think is kind of cool too. I think except I've seen a lot of people that don't like to be social, don't really enjoy playing this game. Like one of my friends said, it's a little too much for him to think when playing, so it's a lot of pressure and he doesn't
Yeah,
enjoy it.
definitely. You can't like like be distracted and
You
playing
can't
the
just
game.
kind of turn it on and just like have a
Yeah, you
relaxing
really have to
round.
be engaged.
Yeah,
But
you
what's good
have to
about it is that the
be.
engagement is just very short bursts. So you're probably looking to play like maybe 5, 7 minutes or
But
something.
it is
But
intense because think about it. This is what I mean. One of those intense kind of encounters where
mm,
if it's three people left and the imposter is one of them, a lot of the time, or let's say it's four people left because if it's three and imposter is one of them, he just has to kill one person. But um, if there's three people and one of them's the imposter, usually the only way you can get away with that is you have to kill someone in front of somebody or close to somebody or whatever, and then you have to, as the imposter, you have to blame the other person right off the bat. You have to like literally go after them, and like I've seen videos where people had to apologize to other people for just
mm,
doing that. Like even though it's a game, because
mm.
really it sucks when someone's trying to defend themselves and nobody believes them.
Oh, I've been in that situation. I was playing the other day, and then I remember there was one guy that said, I think it was red, and I'm trying to type it in. Like, okay, I'm trying to type in.
Okay.
No, I believe it was so and so because he was by the thing. And I normally play the game on I play the game on my phone, and the phone is usually on horizontal, and I don't normally type horizontal, so it's really weird typing like that.
Okay.
And as I'm trying to type it, by the time I'm typing it, there's like everyone's just like writing some stuff really fast. And before I can press enter, they've already booted me out. And I'm literally trying to tell them, no,
Right.
I'm not the imposter.
But
So, that's to
but
me that even though that's not the same as like the voice chat, there is some kind of suspense where you're just trying to find ways to quickly communicate that, hey,
but
it's not me, or you try to defend yourself and say,
But
you're
this,
doing this,
okay. See,
or
to me, that's like
oh,
defending yourself and just having a lack of communication. It's a different story when when everybody can hear you and they know you're defending yourself, but
oh yeah,
nobody
no,
believes
definitely a
you.
little different. Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely.
it's almost disheartening because like sometimes it'll be like one of the girls we voted off. She was like, "It's unbelievable. No one ever believes me. This, that, and the third." And then it turned out she wasn't the imposter. We just felt like and then a lot of times some people too it's a lot of there's some rage quitting. Like people get off because they sometimes you can get not that you can get picked off, but if you're not as adept at talking like someone else is, you're gonna be and I'm not so I know like that's
Mhm.
why I don't like being the imposter because I feel like it's a lot to kind of handle. I feel like it's a lot more fun to me to be a detective and stuff,
Mhm.
and and even then you still get blamed. But I'd rather be blamed innocent than blamed when I'm actually the imposter because
Well,
I f-
I got. Well, go ahead.
no, I find it hard to lie out of a
Mhm.
situation. But
I was gonna say that there was an occasion when I was playing where there was a guy and he was like typing in obscenities, and I don't know if he was using the N words or whatever, but at the time I had the chat filter on, so all I saw was a whole bunch of asterisks, grouped together,
yeah,
and he was really being really obnoxious. Even though he wasn't the imposter, I was like, you know what? I'm kicking it out of here. So I voted him out, and apparently everybody else in the room felt the same way,
hmm.
and that was kind of satisfying just
That
to
yeah,
kind
and
of
that
get
moments like that can
kicked
happen,
out.
which it's kind
Yeah.
of funny.
So, and
But
then also too, don't when you're after you get kicked out, you become a ghost on that stage. So when
you
you're a
have
ghost
to
on that
you
stage,
have to complete
is
your
there and
task.
mhm,
So
you still have to complete your task, right?
yeah, as a ghost, and this is a cool aspect. So as a ghost, you really can't do anything. You can't interact with anybody. You're not supposed to be talking anyway. So as a ghost, imposter, you can still sabotage the strip, like close doors and stuff. So you can still help the person that's on your team. But as a ghost of the crew, you can see what's still going on, but you have to still do your task. And sometimes, occasionally, this is where sometimes there's a disconnect, especially with new players. Is a lot of times people are so focused on finding the imposter that they don't realize that if they just do all their tasks really fast, you'll win the game anyway. You'll force the imposter. But if you don't do your tasks, which a lot of people are so worried about someone killing them, you'll definitely lose because the imposter, it just gives the imposter more time to do his thing. But I have to
I was
kind
gonna
of
say
run some.
another thing that I found too is that because the game is becoming so popular, there are so many new people playing the game. And
Yeah.
another
So
funny instance was where sometimes where we're trying to find out who the imposter is during the discussion mode, and I actually said I saw somebody just kind of like standing around not doing anything, and I pointed it out in the meeting, and then the guy's like, "Yo, I don't even know what tasks are. I don't know
right,
what's going on." And just
that
and
happens a lot.
after a while, we all just booted him out because we're like, "Okay, you sound suspicious." And
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh, it wasn't him. He really
that
was
happens a
really
lot. Yeah.
sorry, buddy."
A lot of times you can always pick on a new person playing that game. Like I
Yeah.
was able to find someone as the imposter because I was like, they don't know how to sabotage. So I looked. I said, "Who's the new guy in the room?" And he was like, "It's me." I was like, "Okay, vote that guy." And so everybody voted him out, and he was the imposter. And I was like, I only did that. I only knew that because I knew he didn't know how to play. And so like always imposters always sabotage. Like if they know, right? So once I knew he
Yeah.
didn't, I was like, it must be him. So. But yes, people should definitely pick it up. It's free on phones and it's cheap on PC. Pick it up, find some friends to play with, and just figure it
So,
out.
where do you see the game going in the future?
They're not making a sequel. The guy already said he's not making a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
He originally wanted to when it
They're
exploded,
probably just going to build
but
upon this.
he said he's just gonna build on the code of this game now, and
Mm-hmm.
so probably more maps, maybe some new mechanics, and different tasks. So I think that's fine. I don't think,
That's
and
a good idea.
I don't think this needs to be a whole trilogy of games or something. I think this is just build on this one game.
Maybe the lore is really good. You never know. I mean, think about it. These guys are
Yeah,
on a spaceship.
well, they could be.
Among Us 2, PS5. Hey, I
Yeah,
might
no,
change
I hope
sides.
not. But all right. So I
All
think we're
right,
good.
so I think
Um,
that's it for us. Play Among Us. It's free. Support some small developers. It's a fun social game, and it really keeps you on your toes. So, and it's great to play in bursts
Yeah, it's
or
so
for a
much
long time.
fun and just different that I had to talk. We had to talk about it. I think.
Mhm.
One of these days. Not we don't have to do it on a podcast, but I want to know how you feel after you played it with voicing with people.
Well, let me know when you guys are gonna play. I'll
Yeah. Oh,
definitely
yeah.
join
Well,
you
next
guys.
time we play, I'll definitely get you in.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
wait, is it PC Android
it's all
cross
connected. Yeah, it's all
platform?
connected.
All right, so
You just have
I
to
didn't know you
just
could
get on
talk
a
on the phone.
just get on a Discord. Yeah, you can
Oh,
use.
Discord. Okay,
Yeah,
definitely.
just use the Discord to play while you're playing. That's all. You know.
Sounds like a uh, sounds like a good time.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
All right, bud.
This-
All right, then. Thank you guys for listening. Again, if you like this episode and other videos on our channel, please give us a like and a thumbs up. It helps out the channel tremendously. And again, thank you for watching and listening to the 8BG cast.
Don't get stabbed in the back.
Yes, don't get stabbed in the back. And Red did it.
It's always red.